The court has personally read every word of the 4 Wolff books and the 6 Freeman drafts and 9 sets of notes at issue in this case. That was a lot of reading. In March 2026, the summary judgment dropped for the case of Lynne Freeman, plaintiff, against Tracy Deebs, El-Kanani et al., defendants. It is quite the read. For those of you unfamiliar, the very general and non-technical, non-legal summary is this. Lynne Freeman is the writer of a series of draft manuscripts variously called Blue Moon Rising or Masked. She has accused the defendant, whose pen name is Tracy Wolff, and various other people of copyright infringement. Essentially, I wrote these drafts and you had access to them, and you copied them and turned them into the Crave series. In order to judge this case, Judge Colleen McMahon has read upwards of 6,000 pages of romantasy fiction. YA. Romantasy fiction. Yeah. As far as I can understand from this judgment, there is some doubt as to whether any of the defendants actually ever read any of Lynne Freeman's work. The judgment, however, proceeds on the basis that all of the defendants did in fact have access to all of the drafts of Blue Moon Rising / Masked. Even ones they couldn't possibly have had access to because they were written after Lynne Freeman separated from her agent. And even if that is assumed, Judge McMahon has concluded there is no copying involved. They seem similar because they are both YA romantasy books, and I guess they're both set in Alaska. Not even the same place in Alaska, just the same state. Some choice quotes from the judgment, because I know you don't have time to read all of that. From page 12, which is part of a plot summary, when they kiss, New Boy gets a little Wolfy. Page 41. Moreover, Freeman cannot prevail on a theory of fragmented literal similarity because the literal similarities to which she points are simply ordinary words or common phrases that any author is free to use. Examples of fragmented literal similarity identified by Freeman includes Wolff's use of the following phrases. Things that go bump in the night. He gives me a knowing look. Everything is going to be okay. Whooshing sound. I'm so sorry this happened. I don't have a clue. I feel exactly the same way. Kisses the top of my head. And like a sack of potatoes. Arguing that the use of these common phrases demonstrates substantial similarity trivializes copyright law. But my favorite quote has to be on page 61. My favorite fragment of the quote is simply, "Hot boys are a staple of the genre." But the longer quote is also worth reading. Of course, both BMR Masked and Crave include the inevitable love story between the heroine and a hot boy who turns out to be a paranormal. This is romantasy fiction, so there has to be a romance, and hot boys are a staple of the genre. This case still has not concluded though, because this part of the case started in 2022 when there were 4 books in the Crave series. There are now 6, and so Freeman is suing separately for copyright infringement for books 5 and 6. So, we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, if you have any other favorite quotes from legal documents, I would love to hear